everybody, on a beautiful, nice, cold Tuesday, December 3rd. For those of you that ski, welcome to ski season. Looks like Little Swiss with Sunburst, Split and HH, and anywhere, maybe if you go down to Alpine, they're all starting to open up, and it's a great time to be alive. Hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving, and happy to be back. So we have 3 team meetings left for the year, and then we actually take a break for 3 weeks over the holidays during people's travel times, and then we'll reignite in January. So a couple things just to kind of future pace this and look forward to. Either next week or the 17th, right before Christmas, I will give you what I'm seeing in the industry, a collection of various presentations, and put together what I think to be the prognosis for 2025. Looking back at the last 2 years when I've given the prognosis, I was almost spot on in 23 and will be almost spot on in 24. And I say that because I take a look at a lot of data to help you understand where it is that we're going. And here's the hint and short of it. I think we're heading up. I think it'll be trending up in 25. And so sometime in the next 2 weeks, I hope to maybe get to it next week or the following week, I'll give you my crystal ball. Then heading into January, mid-January, I'll give you kind of a state of the company, what's going on with KW Milwaukee, what's your leadership team update, org charts, all the sorts of things, because there've been a lot of moving parts. Cool? Sweet. Love it. Today, my goal is to challenge your thoughts and to challenge your thinking heading into the holiday season. And I've been doing that a lot over the last couple of weeks, but I'm going to take a different approach to make you think about how you're heading into the holidays healthy and fresh. Cool? All right, sweet. So mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. Here's what I would lead with. We have our holiday party coming up on Thursday, and the holiday party is the epitome of lives worth living, experiences worth giving. And when I was a young pup, I used to work at Miller Brewing Company, which became Molson Coors, which now I think is still Molson Coors. I don't know. I spent 10 to 15 years in the alcohol business, okay? And I was 22 years old. I had about $1 million expense budget, living in downtown Chicago, calling on all the high image bars and nightclubs. And my boss, with $1 million to spend a year. And my boss pulled me by the ear very early on, and he said, and this very much resonates with holiday parties, careers are never made at the holiday party, but careers can absolutely be broken at the holiday party. And so while I lead with that to say is, we're looking forward to hosting you all on Thursday evening. It is really, truly a phenomenal evening, and the team has gone all out to really make it a special evening for you and your guests. It is, if you haven't been paying attention, it's this Thursday night starting at 6 o'clock down at the Pfister Hotel. And just wanted to give a quick heads up that our offices will be closing at 3 p.m. on Thursday so that our teams can be down at the Pfister getting ready to prepare and to welcome you and your guests into the event. A couple other things I do want to call out and make sure that we mention. While it is a really, really fun evening, it doesn't always have to include alcohol. So I just want those that are choosing to live a sober life. We will have past NA cocktail or mocktails. We have a variety of activities. Obviously, the Packer game will be on, which I've spoken to. And it's a very safe space, very inviting space. And I'll give a little bit of a plug. If you're ever feeling uncomfortable and you're looking for a friend and you want to understand how to navigate that space, Peter Gossman is always one to grab you by your hand and say, come with me, let me help you have a great time. And just want people to feel welcome and inviting in a way that, like, if you want to have a ton of fun, and you can have a ton of fun that doesn't have to include alcohol. And we want that to be a safe space for everybody. Cool. So this week, Thursday, the holiday party is we're really looking forward to welcoming everybody. We have 600 plus that have RSVP'd, and it'll be a great evening, and want everyone to feel welcome and to have a great time. Cool. Awesome. Sweet. Looking forward to it. Another quick office operation update for the group. If you moved in 2024, not 2023, if you moved in 2024, if you can just let the MCA's office know at klrw972@kw.com, these guys will soon be preparing year-end tax statements. all related to your expenses, all related to your 1099 incomes, anything that you might need to begin preparing your 2024 tax preparations. If you moved, they need to know because your 1099 physically comes in the mail. And so we need to make sure that we're sending it to the appropriate places. And then on April 13th, you aren't calling, freaking out saying, oh my gosh, I don't have any of my stuff. So if you can let us know if you moved in 23 or 24, it would be appreciated. Cool. All right. So a few weeks ago, I had the opportunity I shared with you, I went down to a presentation down at the Art Museum, and I'll get to that in a second. But the impetus behind a few things I want to plant with you today is this. Over the last couple of weeks, I've challenged the group all around the energy dial, around where we are within the market at the moment, and in getting you and willing you into productivity now to set you up for success in the first quarter, right? And I talked a lot around how a lot of people take the time off between basically Thanksgiving through the New Year's as a way to reset, and then all of a sudden January they come around and they feel this immense amount of pressure to repeat what they've done before. And it creates this, I believe, a really unhealthy like hamster on a wheel, right? Like, oh my gosh, I wake up in January, I have to do this again. And they ignored what it was that made them successful because they wanted to just unplug, right? And I think it's appropriate to unplug. And yet at the same time, like, you're in a period of time, like if you think about your calendars over the next 3 to 4 weeks, that you do have a real opportunity to help separate yourself by preparing yourself, right? And whether that's engaging people at holiday parties, whether that's sending out a holiday card, whatever it might be that you do to engage your network, your database, your sphere of influence, you should be doing that now and not completely unplugging from your business. And there's a way that you appropriately think about how you're setting yourself up, I would say, mentally for success in 2025. And so I want to share some nuggets from a presentation that I attended about 2-3 weeks ago, all around building a life that gets better with age. And we had the opportunity to hear from Professor Arthur Brooks, who is a social psychologist at the Harvard Business School. And it was a 90-minute presentation. And I'm going to layer some things in between December, January, and February from the presentation, along from his book, From Strength to Strength, Finding Success and Happiness and Deep Purpose in the Second Half of Life, of like, how do we mentally manage our workload personally and professionally so that we can show up the best version of ourselves, right? And having spent a lot of time these last few weeks kind of hammering you guys around the energy dial and making sure that you aren't stopping your business and that you're remaining and doing activities of productivity, I wanted to take a quick pause to also say, are we checking in with ourselves and looking at the holistic picture of who you are and who you have to serve? And so there's 4 seeds I want to plant with you heading into 2025. Okay? 4 things you can be thinking about. And it all relates to a concept that I've heard consistently and constantly in this business around the hamster wheel and the concept of burnout. Okay? And in Professor Brooks's presentation, he said the ultimate enterprise in life is, what is the end game? What is the end game? And he challenged the group around, how do you find true happiness? Because the ultimate end game is true happiness. Doesn't matter how much is in your bank account, because when you die, you can't take it with you. It doesn't matter about the material possessions. It's how do you define your true happiness? And he basically was stating around how happiness consists of 3 components. Happiness consists of 3 components: enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning. Okay? Enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning. And how you define enjoyment in what it is that you do, how you find satisfaction in what it is that you do, and how you find meaning or purpose in what it is that you do. Now, the second seed I want to plant with you as we head into 2025 is, be weary of the striver's curse. Okay? And I see this a lot in this business. And the more successful you are, the more challenging happiness becomes, because you have this burden of achievement. Because it is hard to wake up in January and say, oh my gosh, I have to do it again. Oh my gosh, I have to do it again. And that burden becomes heavier and heavier the longer it is that you do it and the more success that you achieve. However it is that you decide, or however it is that you define success, whether it's productivity, whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's how many families you served. But it's paying attention as to what the striver's curse is. And in his presentation, which I'll just give a little bit of a context to. He talked about how a lot of people, whether it's professional athletes once they're done playing, or when it's people in their 60s who retire, there is a significant fall off in people's happiness because they lose a sense of purpose, right? And his concept and his challenge was if people who achieve incredible professional success, once they lose a sense of satisfaction or lose a sense of purpose or lose a sense of meaning, that curve falls off very dramatically. And you can see that curve in a variety of studies and data that he shared with us of like, whether it's the 25-year-old professional football player who's known nothing other than football and then he has to figure out his second act in life, or the CEO of a major company who's only known the professional achievements that he's had. He or she is trying to figure out what they plan to do with their life post 60 or post 65 or whenever it is that they choose to retire. And how do we become a bit more aware of what the striver's curse is, and how do we alleviate ourselves of the burden of achievement? 3 is he challenged the group with burnout occurs because one loses progress, lack of meaning, or both. Burnout occurs because you lose progress, lack of meaning, or both. And I think the reason why so many people within our industry face burnout during November and December is it is historically one of the slower periods, transactional periods within our industry. And so what happens is they feel the burnout because of 2 reasons. One, they feel the burden of achievement that's forthcoming in January. And 2, they aren't as busy. And so what happens is because they aren't as busy, they get in their thoughts, and the lack of progress around what they believe they're achieving based on what shows up either in their bank account or transactional history or transactional volume or closed units, whatever it might be, they've lost the sense of satisfaction, meaning, or enjoyment. And it kind of goes back to the whole thing of like the evergreen mindset, and the activities you do now show up in 90 days. And how are you finding peace in the pace? And how are you recentering yourself around the enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning of what it is that you do professionally? And then the last thing I would challenge you with is you think about how we head into 2025 and how you spend these last few weeks to reset your mindset, reset your business, is this: don't polish your leaves, fertilize your roots. We live in a society of instant gratification. We live in a society of consumerism. We live in a society where people believe that their achievements are based on how they spend their money or the perception they put on social media or what it might be. And he really, really challenged the group of how are you fertilizing your spiritual being? How are you fertilizing your physical well-being? How are you spending time with those that you love and care for? And how are you fertilizing your roots during periods of when you feel as if you've lost progress? And the reason why I share that with you right now, sitting here on December 3rd, is knowing that December and January are the 2 slowest 60 days in transactional volume throughout a 12-month year, is take this time to fertilize your roots. And you're entering a period where you have lots of opportunities to fertilize your roots. What it is that you do and how it is that you do that, you have to be intentional and purposeful as to how you do it so that you can show up the best version of yourself when you need to, when the volume or transactions start coming, or when your things at home start getting busier, in whatever it is that might be. So various things from his presentation that I'm going to kind of layer into 2025 and to start thinking about, but I wanted to kind of take a reset coming out of Thanksgiving as we start thinking about our 2025 plans, and we start setting our vision boards, and we start thinking about where it is that we are and where it is that we're headed. That are we paying attention to what is true happiness? How do we define our enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning? Are we being cognizant and aware of the striver's curse and alleviating ourselves of the burdens of achievement? Are we being self-aware around how burnout occurs and why it shows up? And are we fertilizing our roots? And so that was my challenge to you coming out of Thanksgiving as we head into 2025. And the last thing I'll share with you this morning, relevant to kind of the context to what we have going on today within team meeting, but also with a holiday party coming up and so on, in a variety of holiday parties, not just the KW one, but a variety of ways that you can fertilize your roots, is this. He shared, and this is just a picture from his presentation. He said, don't go at it alone. Your true self is not the sum of your achievements. It is the sum of the love for the people you have in your life. And so I leave that with you to say, you have an incredible group of people around you professionally that love for you and care for you. You are a part of an incredibly productive group of peers that want to help you succeed. And sometimes it's okay to raise your hand or surround yourselves with other people to say, look, I need help, or look, I'm stuck, or whatever it might be, or to take stock in how you fertilize your roots and take stock in those that you surround yourself with personally and professionally. And how do you identify the sum of the love of the people in your life so that you don't feel the sense of burnout and that you continue to see progress within your relationships? And so I leave that with you as we head into 2025. Cool? Sweet. So on that note, I want to recap Bold quickly. And we just came out of an incredible group of Bold where we spent 6 weeks together with 133 agents that comprised 17 teams down at the War Memorial. Over those 6 weeks, we signed as a group 246 new listing agreements, 557 new buyer agencies, and we put 311 units under contract, right? As I like to say, I'm a data-driven decision maker, and Bold works. And so what I wanted to do is share a group of folks, 133 of you, that spent time with Amber down at the War Memorial. And I talked about the sum of the love that those you surround yourself with. That shows up in the productivity that you have together. And so this morning, I just quickly asked 5 people to share in their experiences within the Bold Room, what it is that they learned from the Bold Room this year and how they're resetting their mindset heading into 2025. So with that, I'll lead it off with none other than Andy Stillman, who's been in a multiple of Bold Rooms. Stillman, what did you take away from this year's Bold? What do you plan to implement, and how has it helped you reset your mindset, knowing that you've probably taken, I don't know, 10 Bolds yourself?
Andy Stillman, everyone.
Shut up, Pete. Good morning. I wanted to honor my leader's wishes as far as sharing what I got out of Bold this year. I tend to be an object of attention with regards to whether I take Bold or whether I don't. And so I've been very diligent about taking Bold because I've been used as an example of what happens when you don't take Bold. So I just wanted to share a couple of the things that I felt that were very valuable this year. One of those was the work on social media. I was lucky enough to have one of the incidents where we sent out a message and I got an incredible response. I was very, very overwhelmed by the amount of people that responded, and I then used that as a way to contact those people and thank them and show the appreciation and talk about real estate. The other part was in the sessions in the afternoon where they broadcast, and one of those told me something very interesting that said, and it was Josh, said, I'm putting myself in the way of people running into me about real estate. And so I took that and sent out my annual Thanksgiving cards, which were, again, 450 cards went out, and I spent that week of Thanksgiving being in the way of people talking about real estate. And it was as, you know, and I usually use the 4th of July as my face-to-face time, but this time it was the Thanksgiving week where I saw a lot of people and I talked about real estate a lot, and in turn have generated some business for the spring. So I really appreciated that part. The social media was very good.
Stillman, thank you. Appreciate
Get
it.
up.
All right, I'm flipping it over to Nada out in Lake Country. Nada, you and I have had some frank conversations around Bold content material, but you took it this year. Tell us, share the group. What is it that you plan to implement in 25, or how has your mindset changed heading into 25 based on the content that you had this year? Maybe not. Nada. Brew, how about you, since I see you on the screen?
Oh, hi. The rewrite was phenomenal and perfect for the time that we are entering in real estate. So shout out to the people who did that. One of the things that I took away was when you meet a buyer at an open house, I do okay converting, but setting them up and I'm working on making an 8x8 for, say, first time home buyer I think it's nice, instead of just sending them the kind of fluffy postcards that I usually send, to have something that maybe they are a year out last year, but that they'd have this 8x8 that comes to them, 8 emails and a phone call at the end, or something that just explains the different parts of buying. I thought that was phenomenal. And I loved it. The energy was great. I had the best team. It was my favorite bowl by far.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right, Peter Gossman Jr. You made a career change. You've had nice success. I'll give a shout out and a little bit of accountability. He's on pace to currently outpace his father, and that'll nice light a fire under senior. But Pete Jr., tell us a little bit about your experience this year and what you plan to take into 25.
Well, first, thanks for not making me go right behind Andy, because I think people would have gotten confused seeing two bald-headed, white-bearded, spectacled white guys go right behind each other. But there was a lot with Bold. There was a lot this year. Some of it I think, a little overwhelming at times, but one of the best things I think I took was the social media aspect of it. In past, it was just really concentrating on making your calls, having 100 conversations. And I think it was nice to have them embrace, some of this new tech. Well, it's not new, but newer technology with social media, and scheduling out for a year or for a quarter what your posts are going to be. It takes some time to do that, but it makes it a lot easier if you just take that, an hour or so, and plan out your quarter of what you're going to post, twice a day, once a day, whatever. It makes the rest of the quarter that much easier. You don't have to think about it. And it helps you to put in a little time ahead of time to make your posts more, posting with intent and with purpose, to not just, oh shoot, what am I going to do today? You've already thought about it. You've already planned it out. And so all you have to do is write it up, send it out, and not use up, your willpower or your RAS or your brain power to think about what you're going to do that day, and concentrate on lead gen instead.
Yeah, you spend time with intention and purpose to plan it out. And how do you think about how and where your people live, and how do you communicate with them?
Yeah.
Love it. All right, Chris Jan, how about you? What was your takeaway, or what do you plan to implement in 25?
So I would say I'm one of the social media people. I thought that this year what I want to do is be very intentional about social media. And in the past, I make posts and it's good and I get comments, but I don't feel like I'm giving anything of value. So I want to really work on building that up. And the thing about Bold was, this year I just wanted to take away like one or two things and really work on them. I'm not one to make the 20 calls a day. I just can't do it. I don't like it. So I was trying to find things that I do enjoy. The other one was the 50 first dates. And I'd say last year I did 12 first dates. I'm like, okay, just be intentional about it, pick the months, and just, make sure that every week I throw one in. So those were my main things. And a side note is, right in the beginning, they talked about choosing happy. And I don't like inspection time. I'm never happy. And I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to be happy. They can be upset. That's fine. I'm going to be happy. And I had one instance where my buyer was not happy. And I walked out to the car and got my iPad and I turned around and I'm like, I'm going in happy. And I went in happy. And it worked out fine. And she was happy by the time I was done. So I'm like, okay, good, moving on. So I'm sticking with that. I don't care how upset other people get. I'm not going to let that bring me down. I'm going to just stay happy.
Well, and I think that's an important reminder of like happiness is a choice. And also, like, you don't have to pick up the phone and cold call people 20 hours a day. It's find the activities that make sense for you and it gives you energy, because there are activities that give you energy and there are activities that drain your energy, and pouring into those that give you energy is important. All right, I'm going to try and flip back to Nada out in Lake Country. Nada, you with us? What's your final takeaway?
I would say social media was a given, but what was really enlightening to me was when people wrote on our backs what they perceived of us. And I think the biggest takeaway of that is we all have a superpower that we don't realize we're walking around with. And that's really the secret to success on social media. How do you leverage how people perceive you and turn that into a way to run your business authentically? I was really surprised when I saw them. Some were great. Some were like, oh gosh, someone put tenacious/ferocious. What did I do to get that label? But that's good in negotiations. So I love that part of it. And I am not a 100 call girl. So I think for everyone that's intimidated by that, and that was one of the things that intimidated me entering Bold, is communication now is very diverse. Yes, phone calls are really important and I like getting to that. But if I called my 28-year-old young client to chat during the day, he would think that I'm dying. So you have to still tailor things to what your audience would expect. But then Bold just really opened your eyes on the thought process for how to get that done.
Love it. Nada, thanks for sharing. Laura, thanks for sharing. Christiane, Pete, and Andy, appreciate your guys' perspective. And the reason why I did this is because the results are undeniable. When you have 133 people in the room, all working towards finding intention and purpose of their activities, the results show up. 246 listing agreements, 557 buyer agencies, and 311 units under contract is the purpose of Bold, because the purpose of Bold is a culture of productivity. Last thing I'll leave you with, and this was something that someone shared with me this weekend. I'll tell you, in my favorite day in the Bold room is, and I'm going to kind of piggyback off of something that Nada shared, is the day of gratitude and the power of how your brain rewires when you share gratitude, but also when you receive gratitude through the activity that we did. And what was shared with me, I think on Saturday or Sunday, someone said to me, look, the meaning of life is finding your true gift. The purpose of life is sharing that gift with others. And I think that's the power of when you are working in a group like this, and what it is that you do and finding what your gifts are, is the purpose is sharing those gifts in order to keep you moving forward. So a lot of mindset stuff today, but I'm focusing on it because I know that we're in a period of burnout to help you guys reset and restart. All right, with that, we've had a little bit of a break on tech and marketing, but Linz is back with building daily habits. So Linz, what do these guys need to be paying attention to?
Yes, hello, good morning. So just a quick command update all around opportunities and how you manage your opportunities and create daily habits. So they released Smart Views within the Opportunities applet. So basically, when you use a set of filters, whether it's filtering by a specific phase or stage, or maybe you're tagging your opportunities, or you want to see anything that's closing within the next month or two, you can now save those set of filters as a smart view. This is exactly like how you would use it within contacts. You have contact smart views. Well, now you have smart views and opportunities. So this allows quick access to those set of filters without having to reset them every single time you go into the all opportunities tab, because previously that all opportunities tab was every single opportunity that you've ever created. There was no way to really organize those opportunities and that view. So with the desired filter selected, you'll click on that all opportunities dropdown that you see on the screen right here, and you'll choose create smart view. You can name that smart view, and then once that's saved, you can easily access it by clicking on that dropdown and then selecting that view. So next slide, Charlie, there's a few smart views already created. So if you go in there right now into that all opportunities tab, click on that section, you will see some existing ones, but this is where you can set a new default. You can rename those, you can delete, create custom smart views. You'll see a live on pipeline. So that's going to show all of your opportunities that are currently live in your pipeline. At the moment, there's a closed month to date option. But then you, of course, can create your own. So maybe you are tagging your opportunities and you want to tag any opportunity transaction that was a referral. So you have that referral tag. you can create a smart view with that specific tag. You can also now show or hide columns. So I think I have that on the next slide. But you can, again, kind of similar to contacts where you can create those, that custom view. You can also hide certain columns and kind of clean that up to really customize the view on that particular page. So really, really great tools in here to, again, help build those daily habits so that when you are managing multiple transactions and you're in opportunities and trying to figure out what's closing this month, next month, you want to see how many, referrals you've worked with this year, or maybe you work with a particular investor and you want to see all of their transactions from this year. You can create those smart views and easily select them. So that's now live. And then one final quick update. This is our last 12 Direct campaign of the year, holiday cocktails. So we did a fall cocktails a couple months ago. This is another 12 Direct campaign that is available as a postcard, an email, Smart Plan and Command, and then you can also post it on social media. So that QR code will get you into all of those assets, those marketing assets, and images and PDF files, and reach out to your database and provide value. We'll be coming out with some 2025 smart or 12 direct campaigns very soon. But this is the last one of the year, so enjoy. And that's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Linz. All about working smarter, not harder, and creating efficiencies in your systems and processes. With that, we had a little bit of a team get together yesterday. And Sheriff Reed wanted to let the group know, as I shared with my team, careers weren't made at the holiday party, but they can be broken at the holiday party. Sheriff Reed said, "Don't worry, Charlie, I'll be there with my badge on, looking and helping people." So, Sheriff Reed, what do these guys need to know around random compliance questions that you've been getting as of late?
Good morning, Charlie. Morning, everybody. I just thought that I would put in the meeting today some random questions that we're getting in the compliance calls. And so I wanted to bring those up. They may seem like they're basic, but these are still questions that our agents have. So be sure that you're using the most updated contract. Up in the upper left-hand corner of our WRA contracts, it gives the mandatory date. And they are, it's in July of 24, but the mandatory date is August in 24. And there, for your reminder, there are new buyer agency agreement in last August. All the offers to purchase for land, commercial, residential, condominium, all those are new and mandatory as of August. All listing types of agreements, listing land, listing condominiums, listing residential, they're all new. Look for that date, mandatory date of 8/24. There's a compensation agreement, which we all know is new, and there is a new disclosure to customer contract. So keep your eye out for that. I know sometimes it's easy to make a mistake or pull up something that's still in your library. But Zip Form has all the newest forms. Check to make sure you do. If you accidentally use an old form, your options are to include what's missing on a counter or an amendment from that old form, or to rewrite on the required date form. You can talk with the other agent and see what they both would see what you both would agree to. If you receive an outdated form from another agent, you could ask the buyer's agent to resubmit a required date form, or try to amend the contract to fit the new provisions and contingencies. So I've gotten that question pretty frequently. What happens if? So hopefully remind. Next slide. Another one is on the pre-agency showing form and the other agreements. We still require this pre-agency showing form if you don't have your buyer agreed to buyer agree to being a customer or to be a client. So you have to have this pre-agency showing form signed by this buyer prior to showing a property. If you're showing them 4 or 5 properties, that one form covers all of those. You're only exempt from using this showing form if they have chosen to be a customer and with a signed customer disclosure agreement, or they have chosen to be a client of yours with a signed buyer agency agreement. And remember that buyer agency agreement is also new mandatory in August. It's all showing agreement is only for the permission of showing properties.
Please
You can't-
stop.
Yes,
You're good. Go ahead.
you cannot give opinions or on value or negotiating any terms to the buyer while you're in pre-agency. You're just there to show them the property. The customer agreement is only for writing an offer if the buyer does not want to negotiate through an agent. No guarantee, though, that the agent, you will be compensated. And the buyer agency agreement, as we all know, is a full service negotiation and representation of that buyer. So another one, remember, I just got mine done. December 14th is the deadline to renew your license through the DSPS. Some people are still having a little trouble meandering through that, but you go to licensee.wi.gov and you probably have to put in a new password. So you click on the forgot password. They will send you a link where you can enter a new password and then confirm it. And then it will give you the steps, very easy steps from that point on to renew. Send your certificate, not your certificate, send your confirmation of completion to Steph. Even though she's not here, she's collecting all of those, and get it in before the 14th.
December 14th, T minus 11 days. T
Yeah.
minus 11 days. We'll see who calls me on the 15th to say, my MLS was shut off. What happened? Don't be
I
one
have
of
to
those
say that those tests are so easy this year. It's really not.
Last thing, there was a question in the chat. Can the old forms within the mandatory new dates of the contracts be removed from zip forms? They actually are. It's just, we have had occasions where agents who aren't paying attention are using old forms because of saved PDFs that they have. And so we're just making sure that you're paying attention and aware as to what you have and what you're dealing with in a transaction. Cool. All right, we're wrapping it up with training and education. Lots of stuff on the calendar in the month of December. Again, one of the 2 things I want to highlight. One, what you can see on the top is it's all color-coded based on location and where things might occur. So if you want to participate in any locations activities, for example, maybe a week or 2 ago, Bruce held a selling luxury lakefront property, and we had about 50-ish people. 20 of them weren't from the Lake Country office because people identified that it was something they desired to learn from, and we want you guys to have access to any of the 5 locations. So make sure that you're paying attention there. Also, for those that are interested, this week, December 6th, there is a luxury mastermind, the 4 essential pillars to growing your luxury business from 9 to 3, which is virtual, which we have included on this month's training calendar as well. Awesome. With that, we have vision boards upcoming. Maureen is leading the group in innovation this morning at 10:30 that we'll be leading and running this with around how do you set your vision. And the reason why we do this is I'm going to go back to what I led the conversation with. Happiness comes from you finding enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning. The reason for a vision board is you're putting it into fruition so that you have it in your RAS, that's something that you look at every day, so that when you're feeling elements or periods of burnout, that you have something that you can see to and visualize why it is that you find enjoyment in what you do. What is the satisfaction and what is your meaning or purpose? And is the powerful reminder and how we mitigate a great risk mitigation strategy and helping you create a vision board. Next week, we will be leading this in the North Shore and Lake Country offices together just after the team meetings as well. So stay tuned there. There is a KWYP and KW Rainbow Network Happy Hour upcoming on December 11th from 5 to 7 p.m. Join the group at the Urban Harvest Brewing Company for a little holiday get-together and snacks sponsored by G-Man himself with Cream City and Focus Title. Next is Ignite is back, January 8th in the North Shore from 9 to noon, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Ignite is a free 99 course, okay? Free course. It's 12 classes, all taught by your peers, and you get to learn diversity of thought and diversity of approach. If you haven't taken it, highly recommend it. There are many people who are very successful in this business who take it multiple times and will take it again in January. Why? They're trying to learn what it is that makes their peers successful. They're trying to learn what makes their peers successful. So that starts January 8th in the North Shore office from 9 to noon, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, starting in January. With that, also wanted to give a little bit of a plug. Last year, we had 70 people from the Milwaukee area go out to Keller Williams family reunion. Very similarly, diversity of thought and diversity of approach is powerful and important. It's family reunion this year is back in Vegas, a very easily and accessible city that has, let's just say, vices for everyone. But at the same time, there's a lot of learning, a ton of education, and we always have a very large group from the Milwaukee area who likes to learn, grow, and network. Here's what I'd tell you. One deal, a referral deal that you get from attending one of these events pays for the event itself. 2 deals, the ROI is already there. Highly recommend it. And I am already aware of a few of our peers within the Milwaukee area who have been asked to speak on stage in 2025 at family reunions. So join us out in Vegas in February. With that, there's your Tuesday team meeting. I'll leave you with happiness. Be aware of the striver's curse. Be aware of the burden of achievement. Be aware of what your enjoyment, satisfaction, and meaning are. And if you fertilize your roots, don't polish your leaves, you'll be totally in a good spot heading into 2025. With that, guys, have a great day.